Hey everyone, it's Candace with Food Right in the Garden. I'm an AmeriCorps member that partners with Food Right. I'm also a Master Gardener intern, and today you're going to come with me to my backyard garden and we're going to harvest some herbs that we are going to dry indoors for the next 2 weeks to make herbal tea. Such a fun project. I've actually never done this until this year. I can't believe I haven't done it. It's so fun. It's been so fun to go through this process. So today I'm going to show you best way to harvest the herbs for tea and the best way to dry them. Come with me, we're gonna go outside right now. All you're gonna need is some scissors and clean hands, of course. So I have a few herbs I'm gonna go ahead and harvest today for herbal tea for us. We're gonna harvest some anise hyssop, which is a licorice flavor herb that's been growing in my garden the last few years. It comes back every year. I love it. The bees love it. And that's this purpley plant back here. I'll show you a little closer in a second. We're also going to harvest some lemongrass because it's a lemony flavored grass that's native, I think, to Indonesia or different Southeast Asian countries. You've probably had it in Thai food if you've eaten some Thai food. So we're going to harvest lemongrass. We're also going to harvest some stevia, and that'll give sweetness to our tea. Some mint. I love mint tea, delicious. And also some what else are we gonna harvest? Oh yeah, we're gonna harvest some edible flowers. I have a marigold growing in my yard that I started from seed that tastes like lemon. It's an edible marigold. There's different types of marigolds, so we're just gonna harvest the flowers to put in our little tea for our little lemon flavor. Lots of different herbs you can harvest for tea, but let's take you guys to the hyssop. So here's my hyssop plant. Like I said, the bees love it. It comes back every year. I started it from seed 2 or 3 years ago, and it comes back this glorious. What we're gonna do is all I did is cut it at the base. I cut it at the part of the planter I wanted to make room for, because I actually planted a little something right there, some pole beans that I want to grow up in the next month or two. So in order to give some more sunlight, I decided to harvest the hyssop on the side. So this is nice hyssop leaves. I have plenty of it, so let's go ahead and get a little more. We're going to go ahead and harvest some edible flowers. See these guys? It's a type of marigold. I don't know what type. The seed company sent me the wrong variety, but I am not mad about it because it smells delicious and it's beautiful, and you would just want to eat the flowers. The leaves are kind of bitter, but we are going to dry some of it, let the whole plant dry, and then we'll just harvest the flower petals for tea, which we will show you next week. I don't need a lot of that, just a little bit. Here's some flowering thyme. You could also use that for herbal tea if you wanted. Different types of herbs and edible flowers here. What else are we going to harvest? Ooh, my lemongrass. This is super easy to grow. I bought plant starts at my local nursery and it's just taken off. So we're going to harvest, just cutting it at the soil base. The whole plant smells like, kind of like lemon, but kind of also like pine sol. It tastes good in tea though. So we're gonna put that with the stack. Also some mint. This is the best part of gardening, the harvesting. So I have my grow tower here. It's just a vertical way of growing plants, which I personally need to do because I have a small yard. Okay, so we're gonna grab a few mint. All of these herbs are vigorous growers, so don't be shy to harvest. As long as you don't harvest more than a third of the plant, it'll bounce back. So this is a mojito mint. That'll be tasty. I also have a lemon mint variety, which I will go ahead and harvest a little bit of that too to dry. As you can tell, I love lemon flavored things. Finally, we'll harvest some stevia. I don't have a lot of it, but a little bit of it goes a long way. And yes, this is the same stevia you can buy at the store. It's a sweetener. It's a 0-calorie sweetener. The leaves taste sweet. It is delicious. So I'm gonna harvest a little bit to dry to add a little bit to our blends, our tea blends, for some sweetness. So, got the tea, and I'm gonna bring it inside to dry. I'm gonna take you along with me. All right, we're inside in my house. There's a few ways you could dry the tea. It's pretty simple. You just want to dry the leaves, leave the leaves on the stem for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Put it somewhere cool, dry, and dark in your house or apartment to let it dry until it's crinkly. We want the leaves to be as dry as possible because we don't want to make our herbal tea blend, put it in a jar, and have it mold. Bacteria and mold love moist places, so drying is a way to preserve it. And I have my way of doing it, which is just tying strings around the different herbs and hanging them up on a wall. That's one way. I would normally go to a darker place in my house, but I need some light to shoot this video, so ideally I'd do it in my basement, but this is my upstairs. You could also put your herbal tea in a grocery bag. Just hang it upside down in the bag, put it in your basement, and forget about it. And it'll dry in a couple weeks time. So here, for example, I have my marigold, which is an edible flower that I love. I'm just gonna take a little bit of butcher's twine. String would work, it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna take a little bit of this and tie it up into a bunch. So all you need for this project is really some scissors and string. And you don't even have to use the string. I just like to do that because it kind of keeps it contained. And I also like to separate out the different herbs as I'm drying them. So when I go to make my herbal tea blend, I can control the flavors, keep it separate, and then do different types of blends. So I kind of like to keep my different herbs separate. So I have the string tied up. It's in a little bunch. You don't want the bunch to be too big because you want lots of airflow through it. At least in my opinion. I suppose you could have a big old bunch. It just might take a little longer to dry. I'm gonna put a little thumbtack through the string, and I already have a hole in my wall. No big deal. So that's how you could do it. You could also just use a leftover paper grocery bag like I have here, or just like a leftover cardboard box, just as long as you can get airflow. So let me show you one other herb, my lemongrass here. I'm gonna dry the whole lemongrass plant. It is beautiful on my wall. I actually think it's fun to hang these up on my wall. I think it looks kind of cool, but I'm weird like that. I'm a plant lover. What can I say? And this is a great way to extend your harvest. You probably spent some time and money and sweat to plant out your herbs this spring, or maybe you're planning on doing this next year. And you want to use it to the fullest, right? So one way to do that is to harvest your herbs throughout the season a few times, dry them, and make herbal tea blends that you could drink yourself during the winter, make iced tea during the summer, give to friends as a gift. And the plants, because you're harvesting the leaves, they'll grow back. Like I said earlier, as long as you do not harvest the whole plant, only harvest about a third of the plant, or maybe half of the plant you could harvest, but no more than that. As long as you leave some of the plant to photosynthesize, it will grow its leaves back, as long as it's in ideal condition. So I don't have another thumbtack, but you would just hang it up, and the whole lemongrass is gonna dry. The whole grass is edible, and we're gonna use the whole thing to make herbal tea, which we will show you next week. So I'm gonna spend the next few minutes tying up my herbs and hanging them up to dry. That's it for this week. Please comment below if you're excited about this herbal tea class, little food right in the garden herbal tea lesson, and join us next week for how to actually blend the herbal tea and put it in containers to save. Looking forward to it. Bye guys.